back in the count. The swing arm now coming back as our countdown continues.
Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Sunday to you all. I am Brick Something, and next to me today, I'm so happy to have Lago Figz of Lago Figz and toyamigos with me. And here, there's our names. What's going on, Lago?
Yeah. Well. What's up, man?
That
How
is
are
in
you?
fact your name. I spelled it right. Teach.
Yeah. The good thing is that like I actually got the pointing right because usually I go that way. You know.
I do that all the time. I'm like, I'm here with my guest.
Yeah. It's like, oh.
I'm happy to have you here on the channel today, man. I'm a big fan. I've been watching you guys for a couple years now. I do the Tuesday, I do the Thursday over in the toyamigos, and I'm stoked to see you do more and more with your channel and the IG. So happy to have you here.
Oh, I'm glad to be here, man. I love it. I love being on these streams and getting to talk to people in the community all the time.
I do have to say one thing. And last week, I don't know if you saw, but Yoko was here. And she wanted me to make it clear that she was here first and that she's been on here twice. And so she just wanted to make that real clear.
Well, you know, I'm a gentleman, so ladies first all the time.
Yeah. I'm not trying to fuel the beef. I'm going to try my best to be neutral. So
I'm just doing my deed as a gentleman here. So
yes.
I let that happen.
There you go. That's perfect. So what we do here for the folks who are joining us for the first time, it's literally, I always tell my guests this, it's literally dorky show and tell. Like, yes, it's the acronym is news, but it stands for Needless Ephemera We Saw. And that's $1 million word, which basically means like useless garbage, right? And so it can be newsy, it can be current. And oftentimes it is, but sometimes it's just like, hey, check out this old thing that we should geek out about. So I think today, most of the stuff we're talking about is kind of current. So let's just sort of see what's out there today, toy-wise. So
yeah, let's do it.
Cool. And then again, I should do this on the bottom down there. That one I know how to do down. But you'll see a URL slowly creeping by, and that's for folks, particularly on the replay. During the live, Thanos will usually be dropping in the links for those of us that are watching along, because I'm a visual person, and when people are talking about, check this out, go look for yourself or pre-order, it's like it'd be nice to make it easier. Mm-hmm. So the links are there. If you go to that URL or this handy dandy QR code over there by Lago, you'll get to a document that that has all the stuff, all the links of this episode as well as all the other episodes, and that usually goes live shortly after we.
That is awesome. I like that you did that. That's a great idea.
Yeah, man.
It's a lot of work too to be putting that all together too. That's great.
It kind of is, and it also helps me pre-plan though. So I get it ready, and then I will tell you the best part of it is like, even for me, because I'm a nerd and like, yes, I'm doing the YouTube thing, but it's like, oh wait, what was the name of that figure, or where can I pre-order it? I go in, Command F, find the thing I want, boom.
That's
all
awesome.
Right. Nerds on multiple levels. Lago, let's go ahead and get into the stuff we've seen. Let's start by maybe doing something like this. No, that didn't work. Maybe this. Oh, that worked. Okay.
Oh.
So let's go ahead and get started with some Mondo. So Mondo this week announced that, hey, we're going to be putting up a couple of new things up for pre-order, and it included this variant of their big old, I think it's like 16-inch vintage looking Scare Glow, but with the cool like see-through body so you can see the bones and stuff. Yeah. And to my point about like it's not really news, this was, I think, put up on Thursday and it's gone.
Yeah, like the snap,
And you collect some of these bigger. You collect. You've got a couple of the MOTU 1/6 stuff. But were you looking at this guy too? I know he's a little bit a unique piece.
Yeah, well, my collecting habits are changing as we speak. Like, I like getting things that are kind of out of the ordinary. Sometimes I feel like with some, I don't know, like SHF Dragon Ball figures. Like I love SHF Dragon Ball, but I feel like I'm always kind of getting the same thing. Like a MOFX, like Spiderman, and like just like you open it, like okay, it's cool. And now I'm more like, what if I get something like this that could stand out on the shelf, something that's very different, something that doesn't look like what I have, So I really like what Mondo is doing with their 1/6 like articulated figures, and just the way they present themselves, the way they have their lives, and they talk about it. They look just as excited as the fans when they're coming out with these things. So so I get excited with this. The original one, I was this close to getting it, and I thought about it, and I kept thinking about it, and I wasn't at that time. I was like, you know what, not yet. This one with the red, it's nice, but I would rather get the original in this case. But 500, I'm sure this one's going to skyrocket in the aftermarket.
Oh yeah.
So like now I'm kind of like, I'm looking, I know there's going to be other variants and stuff. I'm looking at them and thinking, maybe I should get this, maybe not. Did I make the right decision before by not getting the other one? Because this is a pricey piece, and I don't know if I'm ready to spend that much on this type of figure, So,
yeah.
But I just love how like it's see-through. It looks vintage. It looks old. It's huge. I like the size of it. And it's a cool looking, awesome figure,
It really is, like, and the way they produce it too. I like want to understand how it's done, and if this kind of thing can be done in other scales, because it's obviously like a unique figure. It does remind me of like old school 70s toys where they, the human anatomy, the amazing body, where they'd show that stuff, or Pulsar from Mattel. But it's kind of cool to see someone do it. And to your point about like Mondo, I know you've got kind of an art background yourself too, like a pretty creative person. So like, I don't know. For me as a creative person, I totally vibe with a Mondo because of that. Like it's very much artist driven. Like they tell you who the sculptors are. They're hiring folks who like super creative. And this is, while it is an action figure or a toy, it really is a standalone figure at this point, right? There aren't a whole lot of other Mondo MOTU in this size and scale.
Not that I know of. I think they're gonna maybe see how this does and go on from there.
Yeah, but it feels like it's more of like an art object at this point. Like, hey, check out this special thing, right?
Yeah.
So,
and I totally agree with you, and I think that's one of the main things too. Like they give credit, and I know a lot of other companies do this, but like you don't see the links to their Instagrams on the posts, so you can actually go see who painted this, who sculpted this, who came up with the idea, who did the renders. Like it's a lot of that. And like you said, coming from an art background, I'm an art teacher. Art has been my life for since I can remember. I just super excited to see this art figure type of thing, but it's not necessarily like those art figures that like they don't move too much. It's like they're kind of getting into the articulation style mix type of thing. Like you hold a Mondo, you get a Mondo. I have a bunch of like the X-Men ones, and you're looking at the paint. You're looking at the paint. You're looking at the sculpt.
Yep.
The articulation is okay, but you're looking at that and like, wow, this looks just like the show.
Yep.
This is what I thought I had when I had that Toy Biz when I was younger.
Yep.
So it's that whole art look. I think you hit the nail there. Like the artistry mixing with the action, with the figures all coming together, and using various different sculptors and various different photographers. I know one of the photographers is from Spain that takes a lot of the MOTU pictures. Raul, I believe his name is Raul B or something like that. So like,
so cool.
So cool. Like, doesn't that kind of remind you of like a old Halloween costume mask?
Yeah. Totally, with the vinyl thing, the sticker glow on the. No, it's a really great thing, and it's got alternate heads too, and so it's like there is still a little bit of that, like it's still action figure-y, And I would argue that this whole like gimmick of the bones underneath and the glow and everything, that's, you know, like classic play feature kind of thing. So it's still toy, but it's like, yeah, it's toy art. That cape, I think, is such a cool design. Yeah. And then of course the artistry thing continues in the way they sell, right? It's like limited, 1 of 500, limited edition thing, go for it. And so really these are like a different type of collector. Look at that, the size. And yeah, it's cool. It's not something that I can do right now. So while I appreciate what you said about like changing your, like, I don't know, almost like getting not in a rut, but like, okay, I know what this figure is going to be like. I know what this Hasbro figure is going to be like. I've had a bunch of them and I'm adding to them. I like them. With a Mondo, oftentimes it feels like this brand new, exciting experience. You're not sure what it's going to be like. And I'm kind of at that point too, when I did my sort of like return to action figures, because mainly I was doing like Lego for many years. And then my collection as a child, it was kind of like, I want to collect different things and I want to see what's new. And I want to see companies push the envelope with what can be done. So I like looking at this stuff, but I'm not in a position to buy. I love to geek out about it. And that's kind of what this channel's about, or this show's about. On that note, I totally would love to say hello to all the folks here. I jump right into the sexy scare glow. But let's go ahead and say hello to the folks who are in the chat. Hey, it's Andrew Gady's Toys. Good to see you. Technodrome, not on the list, but yeah. But that's the kind of thing where, for me, totally speaking for me, where it's like, I had the Playmates back in the day. I never had a Technodrome. But for me, and I know there's different types of collectors, like part of me is like, wow, we had that. I kind of want to see new things. And again, I totally understand there are a lot of very like vintage collectors and nostalgic collectors. So I think that's awesome. But that's just, I think I'm very in a similar path of collecting that you are right now.
Yeah.
We got Ray saying hello. We got Thanos handling all the links and just being awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Dorlaxin, good to see you. Joe Gonsalves, hello, sir. Game Quest, happy Sunday to you. Nolan, Lago, and chat. Hello, hello.
What's up?
We've got Rick Jones, sup nerds. Oh man, he's taking that. And Toy Rents is going to go after you, man. I think that's trademark. Orc S, what's going on? Good to see you. Hope everything's good in your neck of the woods. Zio Adams is here, other side of the world-ish. Let's see. Oh man, this is the part. Like I just watch Ernie do it, and it's an art form. And Obi-Wan Chingones. For me, it's all about a lack of shelf space. It's so difficult to find space for biggies like this. I really feel like if you're getting something like this, I don't think you're collecting in the same way a lot of us collect like 112 figures. I would hope that you're not getting a bunch of these. And I think that's also because there aren't a whole lot of these to go around at this point, right? So they are a little bit one-offy right now. Not loving the figures, but not loving the color, but you'll love the figures. It's a little Christmassy. I love the variants, man. That's the thing about Mondo. Again, on that art tip, it's like, hey, let's do different variants and colorways and just get real graphic with it. Soft vinyl is an interesting process. The glow in the dark one, this guy is definitely something I'd like to see this year, for sure. Mondo has been killing it, but not my scale. MOTU fans are overfed, and good for them. They're going to lose their buff MOTU bodies though. Okay, let's move on to some other toys. Let's see what else we've got going on. Oh, more shots of him. Again, this thing is totally sold out. Ooh, we didn't touch on this. Packaging. Yeah. Like it's
all other.
Yeah.
Another level, yeah.
Retro feel, that very art, like Mondo posters, that art house kind of vibe. Cool.
I think just like how everything is well thought out.
Yeah.
Everything to the T is well thought out, and I love that about him.
Oh, it's cool. Great presentation. Love what you're doing, Mondo. This is from you, from your IG. And so like, man, Street Fighter. Speaking of being fed, it feels like Street Fighter's in this moment, right? Obviously led by, I think at this point, we've had great figures of Street Fighter in the past, but right now it's all about the Jada Toys stuff that I know you and the rest of the Toy Amigos are all about. And for good reason, because those are damn good figures, right? It's just
the price point, what you get, it's insane.
Yep.
It's insane. Hope
and
the best.
so,
I hope it keeps continuing.
And the commitment early on from Chun and Jada, again, from your channel, we see Chun on there breaking it down, but like the commitment to be like, yeah, no, you're going to get every character and you're going to get all the different, you know, second player options and other things. Like he was saying that before we even got figures. So it was really clear that like, okay, there's the goal. So as someone who maybe felt a little burned by what was happening with Storm, which I love, but like, they feel like it's slow or feeling like they're never going to see figures. It was real easy, I think, for people. Like, how do you not check out this line? So they're going to do everything. It's going to be like $25.
Yep.
The figures look great. And then people started getting them in hand. And it's like, oh, I can totally do the poses from the game. And, you know, toy photographers are going crazy for them. People who like to handle their toys and pose them up are going crazy for them. That said, other people are doing Street Fighter stuff. What's going on with this figure? This came seemingly out of nowhere.
Yeah, I think this is from Patrick Chu. I think he's doing a custom, a made-to-order figure here. So you contact him, and it's based off of Revoltech. So you're getting this this Chun-Li. I believe it's the alpha version. I think so. And yeah, so you're getting all that articulation. I don't know how much it's gonna cost, but I know based on other things, I think he's the one that made the did he make Miles, like he made something else, I forgot what it was. I think something with the Spider-Verse. I don't remember exactly.
I don't know either. I've seen his posts, and he often posts like things from overseas and figures that like are coming, so I don't actually know what like he's working on versus some of the other things he's talking about. But
yeah, but it looks great. It looks awesome. And you know it's gonna move like crazy with the Revoltech. Look at that.
And, you know, people get particular. So with like the sculpt, right? Like, so you're looking at those, I'm looking at those elbows right here and all of that. And so I've heard people be like, oh, what is that? But like, then again, the Revoltech bodies move, right? They do get a little fiddly sometimes, but not a lot of figures can do that.
I enjoy the Revoltech stuff. Like I get a lot of crap on the stream with Chat Amigos that like because I do a lot of 1/6 and I don't like joints being shown for my 1/6, but it's just a joke. I think Revoltech, it's, you know, sometimes the joints are a little unsightly, but it's made for you to pose it, and you can hide those joints in those poses. So I think what they do is it's fun. And when you pick one of these up, like I have the Spider-Man, I have the old Spider-Man, and I have the Iron Spider, and I love that Iron Spider, man. It's just it's almost like having a little widget in your hand all day.
Yeah, so that one looks really cool. And it's also like it's got a little bit of a it works with the look of the tech of the legs and stuff. It's almost like, you know, little techie bits. But yeah, I mean, I definitely on the Toy Amigos Discord, I like sent a close up of those knees. It's like, and we were joking. I think it was with Cheney or something, like just like toy gout. But they're effective, and I remember, but I'm looking at the poses and everything. I think she looks great. The sculpt looks great. The shoes were one of the first things that I saw. I'm not familiar with this version of Chun-Li. So I don't know how close it is to the actual like in-game design, but look at that, man. I did check the shoes.
Those shoes are cool. The big thing here is that I don't know if Patrick has commented on it, but the color difference between the head and everything else.
The skin tone.
I think that skin tone is very, very different. So
yeah,
they could work on that. I think that will take it to the next level.
Yeah. Yeah. I do wonder how much they will charge, but it's because he's doing these sort of like custom, you know, he wants to make sure everyone knows like kind of what you're getting. And it's fascinating. You're like, pre-order on my store. But it's like you get the main body, the head, including the 4 accessories, the little buns and stuff. hands 5 pairs, shoes 1 pair, body materials, flipped ABS. That's where I was like, oh my, look at him, like straight up naming the types of plastic.
Yeah.
Flip POM, POM. So you got the deadline till June 2024 if this is something that interests you. I'm assuming it's not going to be super cheap, but it is a very, very limited thing. But I'm just tripping on the poses. And that's the thing. I was in a conversation about articulation, and there's just different, excuse me, types of collectors, right? And I think there are a lot of people who kind of just keep their figures in very sort of like plain, like stand there display, because they want to just have them all on their shelves. So I would venture to say that's probably most collectors.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense to me that not every figure can do what this figure does, or some of the other like well-articulated figs. That said, though, for those of you that want to kind of recreate what Chun-Li can do, this figure is like, and I love that Patrick shows it all off. This figure can do it, like these kind of poses, and it's squint your eyes and like that's a person being like super graceful.
Yeah. And like the design, the way its body design is also nice. It's a little exaggerated. The legs look really good for Chun-Li. You know, that muscular physique that she has. I think knocked it out of the park here. I really do like this. And think about it, like we're in this weird era where anybody could just, not anybody, but people can make their own figures.
Yes.
That's insane. You know, printing parts out and all that. That's so awesome.
I am 100% consistently amazed by that reality. So it's just like, whether it's completing, like in this case, making an entire figure based on a system, right, an existing system, or people just kind of creating new parts and custom pieces, custom heads. And I'm just like, yeah, I didn't have that as a kid. That wasn't an option. So really cool.
Yeah. I wish I could do, like, one day I'm going to get into that and try to learn that, you know, again, going back to like that art background, like I see things for what they are, and I see things for like, how can I do that? Like, let me try to, if they can do it, I could try to do it too, you know?
Yep.
So it's kind of like that whole idea, but this looks great, man.
All the little pieces, the expressive hands. Yeah, it's good stuff for sure. Other folks, definitely agree that Jade is killing it right now. And yeah, it's not just their figures. I honestly don't look a whole lot at I'm not a big vehicle guy, but whenever I'm at a show and I'll see those folks who just sell a lot of the cars, many of which is Jada stuff, it's pretty cool.
Waiting for the vehicle from the level where you could destroy it. Oh man. That'd be so cool. Let's just make it happen. Let's go.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, other folks are like, I'll just wait for the Jada version. I often wonder where it goes next after this sort of current game that they're working on. I don't really know too much about the details of like what else they have access to at this point. So
I'm sure they're gonna possibly dive into like alpha eventually. Yeah.
I want a Blanca with real electric shock action.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, and definitely a bonus stage. That'd be awesome. Just bang it up and all the pieces fly off.
He's so sick. I know that Duart Studio has mentioned that he's possibly doing that too.
Yeah, so. Man, his dials are great. So crap ton of cool Street Fighter stuff out there. Including this.
just throw that in there. Boom.
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing. Okay, so this is the Play Toy 1/6 scale combat goddess. I'm pretty sure.
Godness.
Yeah, goddess. 2 color styles. So much to Ernie's chagrin the other night, this is not a one system with 2 dresses. You buy either the blue dress or the black dress. And it is a completely seamless body. For those of you that aren't familiar, there's an armature, a metal skeleton underneath, and there's silicone. Is it silicone? What is the material?
It's I don't know. It's like a rubbery thing. I guess it's silicone. I don't know exactly what it's called, but
okay.
Yeah, it says silicone. It says right there, medical grade silicone. There you go.
Oh, there you go. Okay, great. So, but yeah, so it's silicone on top of a metal skeleton that has joints, and so you can pose it up. Have you ever played with that type of figure to know how what we're talking about in terms of posability?
Yeah, so I have the Iconic Studios Ryu, which has
Okay.
the silicone body with the metal frame inside, and it's an interesting thing to mess with. I like it. That doesn't show the seams and all that, and looks really realistic. But the downfall of it is because of that silicone, you can't keep it in a pose for a while because it possibly will crack, especially in the elbow area and the knees and all that stuff.
Because you
It does
keep it in
feel
there and it sort of flex and it can dry up kind of a thing over time.
depending on the temperature. Like here, it's
Uh-huh.
temperature controlled where I have my stuff, but say like you're in a really humid environment,
Uh-huh.
it can, or like a dry environment, so it can kind of mess up there. It's a little weird how it feels, and one of the things that I do dislike about it is that things get stuck to it, like little hairs and
Yeah,
fuzz.
fuzzy
That
stuff.
really bothers me,
Right.
you know. But the look of it, you can't get any more realistic than that. It looks like a real body. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And it does. Yeah. And so on that tip, it does look like a real body. And honestly, I'm feeling a little bit creepy, just sort of like zooming in.
Yeah.
But so that's the funny thing about this. We were kind of talking briefly before it. It gets a little out there, right? In terms of like actually, let me ask you this. Do you know, is this design of Chun-Li based on anything? Like, did she have this dress, but like,
She does have this dress as like an alternate costume. I think it's called the battle outfit.
Okay.
But she has her hair is different when she wears this dress. It's down. She doesn't have the buns and all that.
Is it this? Is it cut like this in the actual thing? Or is this the?
I believe so, but I don't think it's as revealing as this. You know.
Okay.
I can't think of it. I'm not a crazy super a Street Fighter guy like Cheney and Chamba.
Yeah.
Like I love Street Fighter, but I don't know everything like them. But I do recall seeing this costume, and I don't think it was as really revealing, but it is pretty revealing.
Okay. Yeah, just because, one, it's a figure, it's available. The other night on Thursday night, right? On toymigos, on They're Not Dolls, right? One of the first things, like it was Adam, was just like, it's too much. Like, who is this for? Yeah. And I'm not trying to be super judgy or much of a prude, but there is something to be said about it feeling very like tailored to the like het male gaze, right? It's like, oh, she's sexy and all this kind of thing. And so it's a little cheesecakey. But again, that's why I ask, is this from the game? So I'm naming it. Those are my thoughts. I know people might have very different views, but I do kind of wonder like what the demand is for something like this, or, like, and at one point do we sort of like skirt towards like, hey, these are toys, towards these are toys. Like,
yeah. I was just looking because Storm did this costume. You could see.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
No kidding.
So it is really revealing. I mean,
hold on, let me. How do I? There you go. Sorry, let me zoom in real quick.
Find a different picture because that one's a little bit much, but it is a very revealing outfit. So
okay, and you know what it is. I know what it is now that I sort of like talking through it. The challenge is this is very photorealistic. Right, at least in the body. That's it. Yeah. Right, and because so that's
like
where
you look at the Storm and you're like, yeah, it's like super sexy, but it's a toy.
Right.
This is almost like you're getting into the S doll type of thing, if you know what I mean. Like,
no,
it's
totally.
almost to that point, and that's kind of where it gets a little like creepy. And the poses they're putting her in, they're really trying to push that.
Yep.
But yeah, who is this for? I don't know. But I do, and I don't say this as like me, like I like this, but I think the body is a nice looking body.
It is.
Like I think it's the legs look like a Chun-Li legs. It's a little bit too revealing, and it's a little weird, awkward looking at it because it is realistic.
Yeah.
But it is kind of like what her body would be. Up top is a little crazy, But yeah, it's just this,
Like you mean like her chest area?
her chest area. I think her.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like that. And then the face, to me, the face just does not go with that body. Like the skin
I will
tone.
say, yeah, never knew she had an OnlyFans.
Yeah.
I will say, and sorry, Thanos, your photos are beautiful. It's art, but no, I'm just like, I'm throwing out a question because I am a little, like a lot of my toys I have on my shelf in my classroom. This is going nowhere near. Yeah, none of this is going anywhere near my classroom, obviously.
No,
but purely from an aesthetic and like the craft person, like the craft involved in this, as somebody else said, it's a gorgeous, like well done face sculpt, and the body is actually super well done. The shading, the painting, and everything, the musculature, no doubt. Yeah, I guess I just wonder where you're like, it's meant to be a toy to be like, that's badass, that's awesome, versus primarily like titillating or something. But whatever.
Like I know this company came out with the same Chun-Li with her regular outfit.
Yeah.
And it's sold out.
Uh-huh.
And like I think that's fine. I think they did put them in these poses to kind of get people into it, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think that's fine the way it looked with the clothes on,
Yeah.
Thanos.
And thank you. Like, yeah, I guess that's just where I'm at. And I think it's fair to talk about it. Again, not trying to even kink shame. Like, even if like there are folks who are like, I'm really into this for like those reasons, whatever. Like, I get it. I wonder about it. And it's true. Like it's true for me that this is weird for me to bring up. It's not something I normally would, but it's out there. I find it interesting that people are making this, and like the whole seamless thing blows me away, because as you're saying, like that right there, if you leave it in that,
forget it.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's such a bummer. But
yeah,
I'm always intrigued by new tech anyways for toys. And so
what's interesting about this though is that Iconic Studios has the official license for Street Fighter 1/6.
Yep.
And they do seamless bodies, and they have hinted at a Chun-Li. So right now they have the Ryu, Ken's coming out soon, and Akuma. And I think the next one is going to be Chun-Li. And right now, third-party companies, there's this company and there's another company that came out with Chun-Li. So you have your options. Again, this one costs $173, which is much cheaper than the Iconic. The Iconic's going to cost you like $300 or something like that. So there's options, and I'd love to see what Iconic does and compare it to these very exaggerated versions of these characters.
Yeah. Great question. Some folks need a realistic muscle mama these days. I don't judge. Yeah, fair enough. And I'm not necessarily trying to be super judgy, but probably coming off that way. And I get it. Could a kid buy this is a question. And again, like, is this really meant for kids? I don't know. And on top of that, how many modern kids are really into Street Fighter these days, though? And it's not, I'm sure there are kids, but not in the same way when we were going down and putting quarters on the machine and playing, right? That's just not a thing that happens in the same way. And yeah, so
either way, I can't. Like, I have kids, and if I put this in my details, like, first my wife would be like, what the hell is this? Like,
and then we'd have long conversations.
Like I know you've been talking to like Mario and Cheney that like those waifus and stuff, but like this is another level.
Yeah, it is. And again, I think it's because of the photorealism, right? Because even with waifu, it's like, it's anyway. All right, that's that. I just figured, Kyoto style. We've got this. Let's move away. We've mentioned Storm a couple of different times, and Storm Collectibles is one of those things where it's like I love their toys. I love the way they're built. And oftentimes I love seeing like, this is a perfect example of the kind of thing that I love from Storm. Something I know nothing about, but the design is just super cool. And like, knowing how they construct this, I think I'd have fun playing with it. And then they're good about giving us all the little extras, right? So apparently, again, I don't know who Nameless is. It's from King of Fighter, I guess, from a particular newer version to, I don't know, 2002 something.
Yeah.
But just that idea of like, he removes this hand and he's got this, like, I don't know if it's fire or jelly. I don't know.
Whatever it is, it's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
That metal.
Yes.
That
and
is
then
so cool.
here it is. And just the outfit too. I'm all about it. Like this would slot perfectly in my weird, like I've got a weird mishmash shelf of like,
Yes, me too. I love it.
and this fits this weird aesthetic of both like maybe a little sci-fi, maybe a little sword and sorcery, maybe a little magic, whatever. This guy looks super cool. And then I'm looking at all of that stuff. Again, I really don't know anything about it. And if anybody in the chat, if you do, like, please educate me. Do you know King of Fighter at all?
I'm on the same boat as you. I don't know
Okay,
much
okay.
about this, but I think it looks really awesome. I like what Storm does. I like this style, the way they make figures. They always look like super exaggerated, and their facial expressions are always awesome.
Yep.
The accessories are great. I like what Storm does. And going back to what I was telling you, like changing or getting something new. When you get a Storm, you have that like rubberish body, and that's something new. And how chunky it is, that's something new compared to something small. So like when getting figures as a collector, I like getting new things that look different, feel different, move different. So this kind of hits that. But then I'm sure if you get a bunch of Storm figures, you'd be like, it's all kind of the same thing.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I think at this point I maybe have like 3 or about 3. So it's like not much, and they're across Mortal Kombat. I forget what the other one, like World Heroes, that I never even know, but it's just a cool looking character. It's like that with me. So, and Golden Axe. So
I haven't messed with those. The Golden Axe.
Oh,
They
God,
look
they're
really
so much
cool.
fun. Yeah, actually, I guess 4. I've got the woman and the dwarf. So they're just cool, and they come with a dragon. And the Mortal Kombat Liu Kang comes with a dragon. It's like so, but they are pricey. I just think it's a really great looking figure. My only thing as a collector, look at that. So I
that's so cool.
Gloss over that. I don't know what's going on over there, but it's awesome. Look at that, like, transforming into this drill kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know. I appreciate it. Again, the big thing with Storm is like, if you're really into King of Fighters and you want the entire roster, I don't know what to tell you. Because they're not, it's kind of predictable that they won't finish or will take a really long time. And then visually, the cape looks great. Posing wise, it's going to limit what we can do with it, but looks great. So
I think one of the only series they really got into was Golden Axe. I think they had a lot for Golden Axe.
And there wasn't
all of them,
and it's a limited game too, so they pretty much covered most of the game, right? So yeah, it is funny, and it seemed like such a weird one to do to me. Like I didn't think there was a huge clamoring for that. But anyway, let's see what folks had to say. King of Fighters has about 100 fighters, right? Okay, great.
Forget
so like
about it.
just give on. Oh wait, this guy is just called Nameless. Yeah, apparently, or actually maybe he doesn't have a name and that's not his name, but he is in fact nameless. So he's a King of Fighter fan from way back, but I'm not sure if I know this guy. Yep, we've got Toy Box of Doom saying hello to all the cool cats and kittens. What's going on? Yeah, the jam hands. Like that's in my brain. I think somebody the other night said fire. In my brain, it's like a gelatinous thing that like stays form underneath that metal glove. I don't know if that's real.
I can't stop seeing it that way now.
Yeah. I don't know if that's what it actually is, but in my head it is, and I think it's pretty damn cool. All right, moving on. Okay, we're seeing, and on top of like the domestics, like Jada's doing stuff, Spiro's doing stuff, the Brutal Realm guys are going to be developing some stuff soon. It's like there's also things coming out from overseas that are like, hey, check out our figures, and the quality is just wild. Now, this is something newer that I'm not familiar with. So I'm familiar with this character largely because another company is putting this out. I want to say it was Noda's got a version of this guy, and maybe Fury Toys has one. I forget if they've also got one or just the Lion. But they're exploring sort of like Chinese literary / mythological folklore stuff, right? Whether it's Journey to the West or this one, which is from, what's it called? It's like a fancy word. I'll just say it just because I found it. Feng Shen Yang Yi, or the Investiture of the Gods. And so there's this character, Lei Zhenji, who is the thunder shaking child. And it's this sort of like series of literary works kind of covers like the gods and sort of cosmology. And so this is one of those gods. It's this bird god, and this company that I didn't know about, Fancy Realm,
It's new to me.
is and then so in an odd move, we don't normally see this from 5K, but there was a little bit more information about the company itself, and they're saying Fancy Realm is a factory-owned brand who is famous in making mech figures. Their factory, or top factory, who has manufactured for many brands, including Hasbro, NECA, and Mezco. Now they started their Dark Fantasy 112 line with a Thunder Shaking Child, Lei Shenji. And so it's like, oh, so they're a factory that has now kind of created a toy line or toy company, and they're going to produce their own figures, is my understanding of.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too, based on that. Yeah.
And so it's funny though, because they are going to be doing a character that is done by maybe one, possibly two companies. And that's just kind of the way they're rolling out there. I'm just appreciating the fact that this is all a real thing, kind of like what you were saying. It's like, you know, people can make their own toys, and now like everybody's making toys. And what I've said this in the past, like the stuff that's coming from overseas is like sometimes some of the most innovative things, right? Working with magnets to connect, accessories, or light up LEDs that like will turn on when you put a magnet to its head, right? There's all sorts of like newness coming out, not to mention articulation and engineering. So I don't know. I'm just kind of intrigued by what's going to happen with this thing, and nice to see somebody else coming in. And it was, again, I think this whole description was pretty fascinating.
Yeah, they're letting you know that, hey, the quality is going to be there. Basically, that's what they're saying. I think the price is insane.
Yeah, that too.
$35 to $45, and look at the detail there. Look at all the detail in the armor.
Look at that.
The gold that they're using, the wash, like for that price, it's getting insane. Like, what they're giving you for $35.
Alternate heads. Like I will say, from what I'm looking at here, some of the other paint jobs that I've seen on the figures might be like the other version of this. And again, I don't know if it was Noda or Fury, but they're just different. Like this seems to be a little bit more on a more like illustrated end versus some of the ones trying to achieve more of like a photorealistic paint job and sculpt job. But it looks great. Like, and like you said, the armor's like,
look at that paint job there.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like that red with the gold lining, that little thin line that goes all around just to paint that gold, you know. For $35?
Yeah, you're an art teacher, right? You're saying you're an art teacher, and I've taught art in the past, and just the notion of like, it always trips me out to see these things and imagine like a room full of hundreds of people,
right? Yeah,
doing this with precision, right? There has to be some consistency. So they break it up assembly line style to like, I'm just doing the whites of the eyes, you know, so many in a day. But it's amazing how at the end of it all, it comes together and they all look really good. Here's the standard version. This is what you get with their standard version for, to your point, $35.
Yeah.
So you still getting the alternate heads and some of these accessories. So then what comes with the deluxe? And you get the base, like, and then a couple of smaller accessories. So it's not like an additional head.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not, you know, like crazy amounts of other stuff, but at the end of the day, it's 45 versus 35.
35, yeah. You know, and then like even in the body, look at all the little like lines they have on the texture. Like, it's insane. You know, what's happening though is there's so many of these types of like figures out there that if you're a collector that has a collection already, you don't know where to put these things.
Yeah.
But looking at them, you're like, I kind of want to pick this up. This can go with maybe my mythics, or they can go with my maybe not the AWOCs really, but it's kind of like in that like realistic, you know, kind of.
My world they do, but aesthetically I know what you mean.
Aesthetically I'm saying, but like it can go with a lot of things, the Nodas, and that price is insane. The price is the thing. I would think this would be like 75 would be a good price for this, you know. 70, but $35. Hey, That's how they're reeling you in, though. These are like the entry line versions. Like SHF does the entry, like the Goku and the Vegetas, and then obviously you buy that and you want to get the other figures. I'm sure this is what they're doing with this. You buy this, and then you're gonna be like, oh, I kind of want to get the other one.
Yeah, Rick is saying, yep, that Noda also did the bird. One Fist is preferring the bird, the Noda's version. Yeah, it's pretty wild. Stars like bringing it back to AWOC. I keep seeing his AWOC alter ego with his figure. Sure. Chinese companies are killing it. Yeah, like a whole host of new folks are like throwing their hat in the ring. They're just like, hey man, we're producing this stuff in our factories. Let's just start making our own toys. Like, okay. Yeah, and quick shout out because Berserk was here first.
Whoa, Berserk, always first.
Yeah, this thing is wild. I don't know exactly. Are we talking true 112? We just don't know. But like they're just like calling the shots, right? So here's 5K. You can pre-order it here, and you can kind of see all that stuff. I did want to show this though. They're like, okay. Yeah, we're doing that, but just, it's part of a larger line. So they are digging more into that same literary work, going to the other gods and monsters. So there will be a dog monster and a goat monster to go with your bird monster. And again, these are very stylized, right? So we were talking AWOC, but it's like, forgot to mention this, but I love the armor. It's all very like Chinese based, which is something still relatively new, even though like in the last year and a half, we've gotten a lot of these figures coming in. But for the longest time, clearly was like, European style armor, right? Stuff coming from there. And then it was like Japanese, but seeing more and more of this with like, Four Horsemen doing Sun Wukong and a bunch of like Journey to the West stuff. And then all of a sudden here they are. They're like, man, these folks are doing figures from our historical, our culture and our history and our literature. Let's just do it. So
let's show them how it's made in China.
Yeah. I love this one. It's just like, what animal is this? It's the 3 head, 6 arms. But like, what's that going to look like? Right? Like, how are they going to do the attachment? And
and just going back to that price, if you get all 3 of these for $35, you're paying less than about $100 for 3 figures, and they're super detailed.
Yep.
And I'm sure it's going to be good quality. There's a lot of competition out there, man.
There is.
And it's bringing out the best. It's bringing out the best sculptors, about best artwork out there.
Yeah. And then here's the whole line. So, what they're proposing. You got your bird monster, you got your dog monster, you got your 3 head, 6 arms monster, and the goat monster.
That goat monster is giving me, if you Dragon Ball Super Moro vibes. One of the villains from Dragon Ball Super, it looks like that. So
yeah, every time you and Chamba and folks and Cheney start talking Dragon Ball, I never got it. I got a little bit into it and then kind of stopped. And so I know enough to know that Ernie's often wrong, but to not believe what he's saying. But
that's an alternate reality.
And a fun one. All right, let's see what else we've got going on. Oh yeah, I did that. Yep. All right. Okay. So again, there's just so many toys coming out.
It's insane.
5K is like, oh yeah, don't forget that vtoys makes toys in collaboration with Romanki and Cowl. Actually, I don't totally know that this is vtoys because I'm getting a little bit confused at this point between vtoys proper, Romanki stuff, the Romanki Cowls collabs. If folks can help clarify for me, if you can, I'd appreciate it.
There's just so much. I'm losing. I lost track already. Like, I know Chamba. If you had Chamba on, he'd be like,
he would totally break it down.
He'll have it broken down. He'll know the factory.
I love it. I love that guy. Yeah, but the pre-order is now open for this. I know Chamba and others on the Toy Migos Discord were the first to sort of show me this. It was at a, I don't know if it was a Wonderfest or another show where they showed the prototypes in like all white. So I was kind of surprised to see it more in this like sort of darker colorway. It's like really dark. And then there's like an alt version where he's like got fire coming through and you kind of see it coming out of his chest and legs. But I don't even know if it's coming through, but there's a lot of great detail in this thing that is amazing. All the scale work. I think it's a cool looking character. I don't know what this is based on. Some people have said like, I think it's just their take on a Dungeons and Dragons species or race called the Dragonborn. But either way, this is one of those things where I think it sounds like you and I get in the same kind of trouble. We're like, I don't necessarily have to have a personal connection to it. I don't have to be super deeply invested. It's like, but it just looks cool.
Yeah.
Here's my money.
But that's, that's kind of like what toys like were made to do on a shelf.
I'm with you.
Now it's virtual. Like you look at it, oh, it caught my attention. I kind of like this, Look at that, man.
Yeah, look at the scaling and the coloring. Even though it's a deceptively simple, it's like, oh, it's a dark figure. It's like, no, the color work on this is really cool, really sophisticated choices. And then the tail is cool looking. I couldn't quite figure out the tail, if it's like maybe it's similar to having multiple joints like a Savage Crucible, but and again, I said this.
When did they post this? Because I saw it really quickly. This is the first time I'm really
2 days.
looking at it. Okay, yeah.
And then there's a dope soft goods cape that is like kind of flayed out in a bunch of little shredded pieces, like a McFarlane piece back in the day. But you can actually achieve that because they all have double wiring. It looks like, or maybe not, maybe a single wire in those 2 stitches. But still, it's like just as posable, right, as the figure to kind of get these looks. You get an alternate head and hands. And I don't know, at first, I will say, like, when I was starting to explore some of these toy companies that I'd never heard of, it felt a little bit like a gamble, like, oh, let's just try it. Let me see what comes out. And then they come in and you're like, oh my God, like some of these toys are better than the things that I'm used to getting, right? And changed my concept of what like the higher end could be. And I'm just like, wait, what is going on? So now I have no problem like seeing something like this and going like, yeah, I'm not worried that it's gonna come and it's gonna be like whack plastic or like, break.
Yeah, no,
I haven't seen that.
Like I haven't seen that either. Every time I get like a third, like a company like this, it's always they knock it out of the park usually.
Yep.
I haven't had any issues, honestly.
I have not. The only issue I've ever had, and it was like with really one situation, was just that it was packed in with like a wrong part, and that was once. And like, but beyond that, like paint on point, sculpt is great. I already knew that. The plastic's there. These things move. They stand well. Like, and of course, every company's different, and yet I've got like a bunch of different companies, whether it's like Mithril Action, Maestro Union, right? vtoys. And it's like, but they're great. Like joints aren't weak. I don't know. It's crazy. That's all. And I say that especially to folks like, this, but other folks who I know like tend to stick to like, just, not just in a demeaning way, but like just, Hasbro figures or like Mattel figures. And that's cool. They're great. And then they see something like this, a picture, it's like, they don't know what to make of it. And then if they're here and hey, check this out. And they're like, what is this? Like, this is real? Like, this is a thing that's available to be purchased? So anyway, that's a lot of what I have been doing a lot lately, is just sort of showing this stuff because I'm blown away. And I have no idea who Algar, the last Scion,
you don't need to know. And honestly, it's like, all I need to know is it looks cool. Yeah. And I like the way it looks, and I like the way it moves. I like the sculpt on it. Yeah. Maybe it'll make it worse if you know what it is. Like, then you're like, oh, I don't like that character, but like just the way it looks, especially with the cloth goods just flowing there.
Yeah. It's beautiful. And I did share this prototype a while back when it came in, the white one, and you can again see it a little bit more. It's bright. That's my one thing for this, guys. It's like, it's great, guys, but maybe don't shoot this figure on a black background next time. Just so we can see the work, because I know like it is beautiful. But this is definitely one. It's not the cheapest. That's the other thing with these. Some of them they're on the spendier side, especially if you're used to grabbing figures from a local retail store. But I've never felt like I paid too much based on what it comes with, right? Which I think is what speaks to what you were saying earlier about that bird latency. Is like, wait, $35?
Yeah,
like what's going on here?
This is the price I would expect for that.
Yes, like 100%. And so this is on pre-order now. Bombasby has it, and of course 5K has it as well. Just sharing that. Did you get random aside? Did you freak out when they had that website announcement.
Oh, I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they said they're gonna do it later, right? They're gonna
Right.
delay it or something.
Yeah. So for those, if you weren't familiar with what I'm talking about, there was a while when the site was down, and then they posted on social media that like, don't worry, we're migrating it to a new they said new website, so probably new website design, maybe new server, who knows. So I get that. And then it was a couple of days of nothing else, and then the people are like, what's going on? Then eventually they're like, you know what, we're just putting back the old site.
Yeah, and we're giving you 5% off.
Yeah, and we're giving you the 5% off for the thank you thing. So it sounds like it's all good. They're just working it out. And anyway, that's that. Let's move on. I try to keep these things short, but then like, man, there's just more and
There's
more.
so much.
And let me make the pitch for the Toy Migos Discord. It is easily for me like one of the best places to go and find out what's going on, especially for toys like this, but everything. People are so on it, and just like constantly throwing in the news, and it's great. It's like my one-stop shop.
Unlimited feed of toy news
Mm-hmm.
at all hours of the day.
Yeah, totally.
It's just like doom, doom, doom.
And folks are
you wake up, you're like, you missed so much. So
yep.
The news, it's just crazy.
And folks are super positive too. It's not like, it feels like a great place to hang out with other folks. So check it out, Toy Migos Discord. I should throw that in there, but I don't have the link right now, but it'll be in the links when we're done. This thing, again, it's getting hard to find info, but this is from vtoys. Vtoys is that Asura demon, so I do have a vtoys, and I absolutely love this figure. This is the Asura demon.
Oh,
the way it moves is great. I think there are definitely other bodies that are even more so, but this thing, can do so much more than a lot of my toys. And so knowing that this thing is coming out, I think it's a great looking thing. And I am, if you can't tell, a sucker for good soft goods. Like this thing is all about, it's almost like blinking. You might not realize that that's all like, this is clothes, pants, everything. And it looks so good. So when I see this thing, I'm like, again, I have a sense of the quality that's going to be in this thing. Was this on your radar, or?
This is the first time me saying this.
Okay.
Honestly. I like you were saying, the cloth goods, the layering of the cloth goods.
Yes.
Like, you got that coat, you have that shirt, you have that like skirt piece, I'm thinking down there.
Yep.
Like that's, and it looks like it has the wires, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, they keep getting better. It's funny. No hate towards Mezco, but Mezco brought the soft good game to 112 and made it really popular. But these other companies, they're upping them much. Like,
yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah.
So much so that I feel like, and again, this is just my thought, that Mezco had to push back and be like, hey, you know what? We can't really compete too much with these, so let's go with like this Migo style looking figure now. So that's gonna be our aesthetic now, because
like that Doc Ock.
Yeah, like the Doc Ock, the Spiderman, all that stuff. They're kind of looking Migo-ish. And I think it's on purpose. And I don't know if it's because of what I said, but it's a pretty good assumption. Like, hey, we can't compete with them for what we have. Let's kind of,
shift,
categorize ourselves into this little bubble so that we can kind of get away with what we're doing. I don't know. I don't know for sure.
Okay? Yeah, no, totally. It's just
and I know there's a lot of Mezco lovers out there,
and I appreciate you're even saying it that way, because a lot of people would just be, throw out theories and that as if it's a thing. But yeah, no, we're just talking and wondering, and we don't know. But I see what you're saying. I will say, like, I don't have a whole lot of Mezco. I don't have any Mezco other than the most non-Mezco thing ever, which is the Mosquatch.
Which
is like totally nothing like anything else in that line.
Did you get the green one or the black one?
The green one.
Yeah,
I got a good deal on it, and I was like, oh, cool, big, but not so big monster. So
it's kind of cool, yeah, with the texture and all that stuff.
Yeah. So when I look at this, though, what trips me out is that kind of like the one I was holding up, but most of this is a figure covered in robes, and robes are generally not very flattering, right? But there's a tailoring that's happening here, and the layering, as you pointed out, as well as all the stitching details. And then really, if you look at this, it's like cloth. You get a peek of the feet, cloth, get a peek of the gauntlets, and then a head. And yet, like, I look at this and I was like, damn, that looks really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely some artistry. And this is what's going on underneath that mask.
Kind of looks like Dante from Devil May Cry. Kinda.
It does, with horns.
With horns.
And it's just cool. Like,
Yeah.
I don't, that's all. I don't really have much else to say. This is and again, it's super unclear. Like this one says Gravity Garden. Try to look it up. Like, what is Gravity Garden? Not a whole lot. They use the Elden Ring tags, but it's not really that as far as I know. But if anybody in the chat knows, let me know. On that note, oh man, here, sorry. Let's do this. This is weird. Sorry. It just bothers me when like dead air, yay, dead air. But you're the guest, man. Like here.
Oh no, don't worry about that.
Yeah, no, you're good.
No, I know what you're talking about. No.
Yeah. There you go. We're good. All right. So third-party companies are doing better versions of figures. License holders are doing. Yeah, this is a trip too. And if they're taking on dormant properties or doing unique original characters, more power to them. That's like that the Warcraft stuff, which we'll get to. Because there's more of that. Like you had one of those orcs, right?
Yeah, the Bloody Hands
review.
I think it was called the Bloody Hands Morlock. Yeah.
It's
I have another one. Actually, I'm going to do a review on it soon.
Oh, perfect. That's a perfect transition because we'll look at those. But it's like between those, they've got the Murlocs going on from Warcraft. They've got Illidan, who I have that demon killer. Yeah, I think they call it demon killer. They're great. It's not like, back in the day, it was like knockoff. They don't have the license. And you're like, oh, what is this thing? But now it's like, oh, crap, I want the knockoff.
Yeah. It's getting to the Transformers level where the the third parties are essentially better than the licensed stuff.
Yep.
Here,
see, thanks for breaking it down, One Fist. So this is the Ramaki Cowl one. Yeah, thank you. I was just clearly confused. People are tempted by the dragon guy. 100%. It's a cool looking thing. vtoys, who we're now looking at, does awesome work, but I've always found them to be rather hard to find. I always got to the party after the order windows went home for the night. Yeah, they're a little bit like the Asura demon is still kind of out there, even their limited green one. But yeah, I wonder how this thing is going to be. So if you're into it, you might want to check it out as soon as you can. Let's see. There's a lot of dragon stuff. We can move on. Sorry.
No, I had the vtoys. The only vtoys I had was the vtoys like a body. It was just like a body.
Yeah, blank body.
Yeah, it was awesome. It moved great. Good plastic too.
And that's the thing. It seems like that's a lot of more and more I'm seeing these companies do that, kind of put out a body, right? And that's probably why they end up with the soft goods, right? So they've got like the basic body and are building on top of it. But man, okay, let's shift gears completely. Let's go to non-humanoid things. Have you gotten into any of the Creative Beasts stuff at all? Is that something that's on that you've done?
But I have friends that are into that stuff.
Yeah. I love it, man.
Speaking, like you were saying, like there's a teacher that teaches in a school close to me, and he brought his figures. He's all into dinosaur figures, so he brought them to this class and all that. So it reminded me of him when I think he has these or something like this.
Yeah, I try to show these to the science teachers. I was like, dude, check this out. And it's just like, oh, it totally reflects the current science. And I was like, yeah, that's the point. And I'm totally blown away by what they do. And now they're breaking off into mammals. So they had beasts of the Mesozoic. And then originally when this Smilodon here, this big old cat was pitched, it was shown with beasts of the Cenozoic branding, which is cool. They're like doing, different geological periods. And then of course they've got Cyberzoic, which I'm all about, in that recent Kickstarter where they're mixing it in with more fantasy space.
I like that. I've seen some of those at some shows, and I'm like, we're like prototypes of that, and that looks fun. That looks like a lot of fun. And
so actually this Smilodon, that's what I keyed on, because is a part of that line. They have a yellowish, brownish version that's for that. And then this is being released in the main Beasts of the Blank line. And so I just wanted to share this because they just put this up last Thursday, and these things are now available for pre-order. So this is the general store page. And just like you were talking about art, and the paint jobs on these things are gorgeous and all super smart too, because of the newer science linking dinosaurs to birds. They often will paint them based on modern bird coloring and like styling the feathers, which is always super cool to see. But this is the one that I'm all about right now. So everyone's all about the Zabu, which I get. But for me, instead of maybe trying to buy all those figures that I might not actually want to build a Zabu, which is cool, I'm going with it's a $60 pre-order. It's on sale, $5 off, for the all black Smilodon populator.
I think you're making the right choice there.
Yeah, I think so. If there is a right and wrong, but like, yeah, just and there were other things that they've shown where they're showing off the articulation. I don't know if it's all here, but it's really cool stuff. Like they can sit and, you know, I don't think they've got it all here, but anyway, just a quick diversion into something a little bit different. And looking forward to having one of these guys join the news relatively soon. So that'll be coming up this summer.
Look at the articulation there too.
Yep. Yep.
That's insane.
There's a lot of different points here, and they're really good about trying to like not break the sculpt where possible.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Yeah.
So I'm excited about this guy. I've already got him on pre-order. So I'm spending too much money. Back to the orcs.
Aren't we all? It's just toy collecting, man. It's like I keep telling myself, like, oh, you know, I'm gonna tone it down, and I have toned it down for sure. But what ends up happening is like I haven't gotten so many things in such a long time. Let me go spend something on something super expensive, and it's like,
yep.
It's just like what you just do. There's no point in what you just did.
So this guy, the orcs, you have. Yeah. This is Memory Toys. So I do get confused because there's Mithril Action, there's Memory Toys, and oftentimes they'll post with both companies' stuff on there. So do you have any? Yeah, do you have any insight in that?
They're all Memory Toys, honestly.
Okay.
So they're all Memory Toys, but they go by Hero Toys in some cases. This is a Hero Toy.
Is that Illidan, the demon killer? Oh, I might have lost you. I think that's what that is. So, okay. So Hero Toys is potentially, what I'm hearing from you is that it's all Memory Toys. Huh. Okay. But yeah, like folks saying like, wow, that looks like Warcraft meets Mythic Legions. Like this is meant to be Warcraft. But actually I'll ask Thanos and maybe Drew, if you're still here, all the Warcraft heads. Do you know, is this sort of guy right here? Is this a something from the game? And I know they go red, but is this armor set something from the game, or is this oh, there he goes, but he'll hopefully come back. Is this something that they're just doing? But let me go ahead and show you, because this is a post from 4 days ago. And I was kind of surprised at what was going on, because some of these I didn't necessarily see before. Like, I don't think I've seen this. Yeah, that's kind of what we do here, right, Dom? Yeah, just there's so much amazing stuff going on with toys. Thanos is saying, yeah, the armor is straight out of the game. So this one is this is straight out of the game. Okay. Pretty amazing. The world may never know. Okay, so it was the first PvP High Warlord set. Thank you. You push up those glasses, man. And then that's a sports reference. I have no idea what that means, but I kind of know what you mean. Yeah, so it's a trip, because so if Memory Toys and Mithril, I don't know, I'm saying if, that's not fair to Lago. I'll take his word for it. If Memory Toys, Mithril Action, Hero Toys are all essentially the same company, and they are all about these orcs, and rightfully so, right? They built a good buck, and now they just got to build out the different pieces. Look at that. Thanos. BFGs, like Gatling cannons, Gatling guns. Is that a thing in Warcraft? Man, I've been out of it. If so, yeah, for the Horde, indeed. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's pretty damn cool, though. I'm looking at that, and I was like, oh, that if I would instantly pre-order. So Let me know. I'm really curious. Looks perfect too for his body type. Big old gun. There he is. And he's back.
Yo, sorry, my computer decided to do a random update in the middle of the stream.
Nice.
Just right at 8 o'clock, it just went like.
It didn't like your Hero Toys figure.
Yeah,
but yeah, look at. I don't know if you saw this guy. This guy's got a big old Gatling cannon.
It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah, orcs and miniguns. What could go wrong? Oh, okay, thank you, Thanos. I know Thanos is hardcore into Warcraft. The gun is not in the game, but it should be. They do have miniguns though. Yeah,
that's the one I have right here in here.
That's so you do have this one.
Yeah,
does it have a gun?
It? Let's see. I don't know. I haven't opened it.
No. So that's the one you're gonna
Yeah, I'm gonna do like a review or something.
Okay, wait. Let me look at this a little closer. So I'm looking at this with the armor, and this was the first one. Okay, so it's the same armor, but on a red orc's body, which you have a red orc.
Yep, it's a red one.
Yeah. Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm curious. If you don't mind, please do, and I'll.
No, I have to get to this sooner or later. Right?
So there are still a couple of things that are available and still on pre-order. So this mercenary Captain Kagas is available, and I think, like again, one of those things. See the conversation earlier when I said I'm spending too much money, but I only have this one. And it's the Blade Master, which was sort of tucked in behind that last photo. And I almost poked my eye out with an orc sword. So it's got the sort of samurai armor. And, we were talking about Storm. Ooh, look at that. We were talking about Storm, and these totally remind me of Storm figures, the way they're built.
Oh, sorry. So, yeah, no gun. It comes with a...
Oh, yeah.
Comes with another one.
You put 6 strings on that axe.
This thing is crazy. Let me try to get it out of here. I can't get that one out, but it also comes with a shield as well.
Woo!
And
Thanos has got that coming in.
Yeah, so no gun.
That's
though.
amazing.
It didn't come with that big gun though. It's pretty awesome. I love this thing.
Yeah, no, they move so well, and you took it through its paces in your review. Sort of showing the posing and everything. When we were covering, Thanos was on the show 2 episodes back. When we were covering Warcraft stuff, we missed the Varian and Arthas figure, which are also 2 different companies. Oh man, it's wild.
I don't. Yeah. This is going back to what we were saying. I don't even know anything about Warcraft. So I'm there. This is one of those.
Yeah. Look at the alt heads on these guys. Yeah. So again, like I've got an orc, but I don't have this orc, and he's got so many cool things. And the best part about these is you can completely strip them down, and all the armor is interchangeable.
You can put feet on them.
Yep.
It's great.
I love how the armor shoulder pauldrons kind of like slot in between the butterfly sort of like piece in the shoulder, and it just looks so clean. Yeah, these are great figures. I like them a lot. Like if I was to squeeze them into Mythics, I like the way they look. And just as an option, it's also available on 33 Toys for folks. So orcs galore. In addition, there's this guy, the bounty hunter blooding hands.
That's the one that I reviewed. Yeah, the
first one.
Hands warlock. Yeah, the first one.
The freaking cool heads of the bounties
and everything. Yeah, that one is sick, man. That one is so awesome.
So yeah, it's a trip to me then to think that they're all the same company. This one's the first time I ever noticed that there was a line name to it. So I think they're calling it Adventurer's World. But anyway, it's crazy. All sorts of big buff fantasy type characters everywhere, and the big green kind. And there's more on the way. That was my pro segue. Because if you've been paying attention to the news lately, folks, I've been kind of floored that the Brutal Realm folks have been reaching out and have been sending me stuff and are like, hey, will you reveal this? Last time got to reveal the women buck, right? Their concept art for that. This time they just had definitely a couple more shots of the prototype figures that they're going to upload on their site tomorrow on their Instagram. But they're like, yeah, share these. And so I was like, awesome. Thank you. Oops. Ignore that. Escape. And it's cool to see, just like these orcs that we were just talking about, these really big, huge, like buff dudes, but they clearly stretch because they're very flexible and they can pose. And it's cool. Like, yeah, we've seen big buff characters before. We've seen, but to be able to move in the way these guys are doing, in addition to all the cool cultural things that Brutal Realm is doing, with like drawing on, the stuff out of Asia, the stuff out of the sort of Native Americans, the West African stuff is pretty cool. But they're all going to move and they're all going to pose, and they're going to look great. So I just got a couple of things to share. What's that?
I love these things. I've been talking to them as well, and they're going to be on our show on Tuesday,
Yes.
which is going to be pretty cool. We get to talk to them about that. I love the Crowman figure that they were showing, like the big, like eagle-ish tattoo. Oh man, it looks so good.
And he like transforms. He gets possessed by a demon and has a big skull face.
That's crazy. How awesome does that look? With the hair too. Had the hair.
So I am intrigued to get to look at these and how they're going to move, because I'm again, part of this is, yes, I think they look cool. Part of this for me is I'm just always intrigued by how people are doing engineering and just kind of like trying to innovate on something that other people have done, but they're like, but we want to see if we can take it further. If we can get them to hold, their axes with two hands or whatever it is, right? Get those dynamic poses, even with big bulky bodies. So we'll see. They were saying that last time I kind of shared with people, here's Ogun, that they're looking at a June date, and that's still a target, but now it's like, well, we definitely want to do it before September. So I get it. Like I was sharing with them, hey man, in working with the Animal Wars of the Kingdom stuff for the Kickstarter, like I totally understand how complicated it is to line things up, right? And so they're trying their best. They're going to get their Kickstarter out when they can, but they're going to, by the time they do, what's blown me away is that they're going to have a lot of things figured out at a time. Like they're clearly like got these things sculpted, printed. They're going to be showing like full on paint masters for almost all of the figs, it seems like, based on the slow things that they've been like trickling out. So they're going to be ready when that thing drops. And so Tuesday, when they're on the Chat Amigos Assembled with you, I guess Cheney and whoever else shows up that day, because it's different folks at different times, right? Oh, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it's just different folks, but hopefully, yeah, get us the info, like, yeah, where things are at, and yeah, I would love just to hear more. So I'll be in the chat for that for sure.
They've been working hard at this. I've been communicating with them for a while now too, and they've been working so hard, always coming up with new things. And I think it passed right, but they're going to be at a show showing off some of the protos. I don't know if it already happened or it's going to be soon, but they were talking about showing the prototypes at a show. Yeah,
I know that they did share that they will definitely be at Joe-Lana in September, and they said officially be in Joe-Lana in September, where we will have all protos on display and most likely have a panel. And they're saying that'll be their first convention. Yeah. So look out for that. And let's see, there was one other thing, and they wanted to reveal some packaging art. And so they are working with an artist to paint and, figure that all, but also this is a rendering of the villain figure, who we haven't really seen much of yet, other than early sculpts and concept art. So I mean, he looks cool, man. And it hits all those notes, right? Of just like, what is the fantasy thing going on? And what are these gigantic buff guys going to feel threatened by? And it's like, I get it.
Gigantic buff guys. What are they going to feel threatened by?
Like what could they possibly face that would be threatening? It's like, a bunch of these
more gigantic dudes. Buff guys.
Totally.
Super dynamic.
Just as flexible. But I think they're great, man. And I'm looking forward to hearing you check in with them on Tuesday. Yeah. And real quick, go ahead, go for it.
I was gonna say the one that is kind of like one of the goals, the one that's kind of like a cat figure, like a lion type of figure.
Yeah.
That one looks so awesome.
I love that you're dancing around
trying.
it. It's like all the not Warcraft figures we were just talking about.
That one.
Yeah.
That one. I think
they're
that
doing
one's
good.
Gonna push it to the next level. Those are that's what everybody's like looking at, like
the sort of tribute-ish figs. I think definitely that's what gets people's attention, right? So it was the same for Mythic Legions and their MOTU stuff. It was really successful at PowerCon with Animal Warriors of the Kingdom and their sort of not Beastman character. So you still got to find those ways to make those connections to those things that people loved back in the day. So real quick, I did want to say this because I asked him specifically. He's like, hey, man, could you just like tell me who all is involved? Because I would love to give credit to all the like great people that are working on this. So James Harkness and Jason Sewell, the other founder, those are the two founders. And then David Vonner is their production manager. Dao Fuyan Pen, quote Pen, is their lead designer. Orbis Christopher Nunez does the majority of our head sculpts. Yapu Studios does our concept art. And there have been other artists, but that's the current team. And all those names, and I'm going to try and get the links together onto the links after the show so that folks can go click and like give those people some love, follow them, see what they're doing. And yeah, congratulate them because I know this is a lot of work and I want them to feel that love when, as they get closer to the Kickstarter and they know that people are waiting and paying attention. So yeah man.
No, I love that you credit all the artists. That's one of the things like you don't get too much of them.
Yeah.
And then they get followers and you can see their work and I love that.
Yeah. All right, we'll wind down, but as we were winding down, as you and I were like, literally this popped up while I was clicking live. And I was like, okay, so these are the Dark Crown toys. I've shared them before. We don't got to talk too much about them, but they are coming. So the Dark Crown toys were those 1/6 figures that are like these awesome samurai ninja mixed with kind of like a cyberpunk kind of deal. And 5K Toys just posted a bunch of stuff for them, again, teasing them because they're really pushing these hard, more than I've seen a lot of the other lines. They probably realize that this is going to be a big deal for them. And so they posted a bunch of key art.
These are the ones that Chamba said they come from a company that makes really, really expensive figures, right?
Like like 4-digit expensive. 1/6. Yeah. And they have like all these cool, like I hesitate to use the word gimmicks, but that's what's coming to mind in terms of like magnets in the feet and light up eyes and like, all sorts of cool effects stuff.
That looks cool. That character looks cool.
And the way that these are coming through, they're basically like 2 figures in one. They come with so many different pieces. It came up and like, so I'm looking at this as like, wait, what's the deal with this motorcycle? I honestly haven't spent much more time, and I'll do the Yoko thing and actually read the caption in a little bit. But wait a second. I just saw something that's flipping me out. Do you see this up here?
I'm on a phone. Oh, well, only 100 pieces. Oh, that's going to be crazy. Limited.
Like for real?
Only 100.
Oof. Okay. Maybe I should stop talking
about it. Reminds me of like Tenchu, right? Tenchu, was it Tenchu? Like that PlayStation game?
It's a video game, right? Yeah.
Video game, like that Tenchu.
Man, they did it twice and they put it twice. I hope that's wrong. No, it says here too. Wait, what?
It's gonna be, that's it. Yeah, 100.
Oh man, pieces. I shouldn't have said anything. I shouldn't have told other people about it.
Man.
Oh,
when are they coming out? What does it say there?
It's okay. I barely have any subscribers. No, so this is what it says. They are so proud.
Everybody knows who you are.
So proud to bring Dark Crown Toys One Tail Burning Souls toy line to the USA as the official exclusive USA distributor retailer. We will bring more updates and reviews later. 2 versions, single and 2-figure version. It is 100 units limited to each kind. So 100 of the singles, 100 of the double deluxe. And again, this is USA. So I'm assuming there'll be more overseas if we're willing to hunt them down and pay for them. But 100. Okay.
You can't, the best usually the best prices are 5K. So
Yeah.
We're trying to
Okay.
get
No,
on
I
the
got it.
low.
Here's the game plan. On Toy Migos and your channel and mine, we'll tell everybody that the pre-order date is like a week after the actual pre-order date.
I'll post it all over my, when I post this on my Instagram, I'll put it wrong.
Okay, cool.
Date.
Done.
I'll put unlimited pieces too.
One
I'll
fist.
Photoshop.
Well, already locked in that pre-order for the 2-figure set. Yeah, they are available on other places, not just. Is that right? I'm trying to remember. I got to go back. It's in the
these are available.
I guess. I was kidding. Yeah, it is already up, guys. Yeah, no, and One Fist is always on the. I feel like One Fist and who else? There are a couple of people that are like, yeah, dudes, you're like super behind.
Yeah.
Because I am. Cool. Well, we got to end now because I got to go pre-order. But hey, before we go, let's. Okay, first off,
don't even
help me
just
out.
go pre-order.
No, help me out. This logo, it's a band. It's something, and I was like, "Is it Van Halen?" But it's not Van Halen.
Yeah,
Is it?
Yeah. I'll explain
What is
it
it?
to you. So
Thank you.
It's a band. It's from a band, The Strokes.
The Strokes is a band that uses. Of course, it's the Strokes.
So it's like my favorite band. So, but they got their logo. It's not original. It came from a cigarette brand called Manga or Magna cigarettes back in the 60s or 70s. They had that logo. The Strokes took that logo and put the Strokes. So I took the Strokes logo and put logo. So it's kind of like. And shout out to D. Blake Makes. He's the one that made it for me because I had this idea, and he's the one that kind of made it for me. So I love. Once he made, I fell in love. That's
a great band.
So, yeah,
got to see them 3 different times. That's an excellent band. Yeah,
that's my favorite band.
And I don't know why I didn't even place it. But they've used that. But do they use that? Not consistently.
They always change their logo. So like, this was like
say.
their logo that they used, and Is This It, which was like their first album. And then they would change their logo.
Night.
Yeah, the Last Night stuff. Yeah.
So
they used a bunch of different logos, but they tend to use logos based off brands. So they'll have like the Strokes in NASCAR font, or they'll have like they always kind of do something like that. So.
All right, enough music talk. Let's talk about the channel, because you actually, I feel like you in the last year, you're just like, okay, I'm gonna be consistent, and you've just been like spitting stuff out, and it's a variety of stuff, whether it's the looking at the figures, or like the other day I was really stoked to see this because I'm hoping to head out there during Legion's
let me know
Con.
if you do.
Well, when I go to Legion's Con, I want to take a day and go here. So the channel, tell me, like, when did you decide, like, I'm just going to go and just produce all sorts of content?
I don't know. It was just kind of like, it was basically like I had a lot of action figures that I haven't opened, and I wanted to share it with people. But then I was like, I don't want to be like every other channel that just does reviews, so I'm going to see what I can do. So I started doing a little bit of toy hunting, but a lot of channels do that too. So then I'm doing like showing, cons and shows and stores. So I'm trying to see what it's developing. I ultimately want it to be kind of like if I can, like, going back to the art thing, if I can mix my art with the figure thing, kind of. So if I kind of go back, if I try to start producing more artwork when I have time, kind of showcasing that or showing that, or even maybe having a show where we talk about the sculpts more rather than articulation. It's up in the air right now. So right now it's kind of just doing things just to get stuff on there. And but the whole point was, so like my whole thing was like, my Instagram is all news. It's news.
Yep.
And I'm a creative person. I feel like that's not being creative. So I kind of want to do something creative. So that's where this is going to go eventually. But for now, it's just this. It's just figure reviews, toy hunts, and showcases of shows or stores and things like that.
I love it. And yeah, it's that fun phase of just sort of exploring. And again, you've said it here, I've said it before, like we're both teachers. So like we clearly have a day job and a night job, but we have our jobs. And so in many ways, like you're looking at this, I'm assuming it's like, this is part of your kind of creative outlet and the hobby. This is part of the hobby for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like you're pretty committed, I'm assuming, like in the job. It's hard not to be, right? We've been there and we've been doing the work. So I was explaining that to somebody else who, is telling me you should do this and check out your analytics and do this. It's like, yeah, that's cool, but I think that's going to kind of ruin it for me. And like, yeah, stick to one thing. And at first I was trying to do the same thing. It's like, I'm going to do the unboxing. I want to do this. And I have way more stuff filmed than actually is on the channel.
Yeah.
Because I think like you, I'm in the similar spirit of just, I want to create something. I want to try something new. And even in your reviews, man, it's really cool. Cause one, you're choosing figures that I don't see enough of. Like, okay, these are cool. Like I don't see enough of these things, which is great.
I'm glad that you're saying that, because that's one of the things with my reviews. I try to do things that like you don't, like you said, you don't see a lot of reviews about, you know. And usually those are the ones that do better. When I'm doing something that everybody has had, it's kind of like you barely get any views or anything, and it takes time to do these things. You know?
It does. Yeah, no, it's great. And that I'll go back, actually. Let me go back to the store opening. It's cool. You're like setting up, you're interviewing the folks as they open the store. You're walking us through it. Yeah, it's really cool. Like I wouldn't have known that this store was opening if it wasn't for this. And so I was like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get more things like this, because it's fun. It's great. And shout out to my wife. She came with me and she was helping film and all that stuff. So that was really cool. Got to meet a lot of cool people too. A lot of people in the community there.
And again, these are like, they're toys that I wouldn't necessarily be on my radar. And I was like, cool, let me check it out. And I appreciate that. And then, as you said, your Instagram is more news, right? And you're just, whatever you find, you're throwing it here. And in between this and the Toy Migos, this kind of becomes like the pool of stuff for your shows, right?
Yeah. So it becomes a pool of stuff for our shows, as well as the ACBA podcast uses me a lot, which is shout out to them. Right. Really cool, because I was a fan. I was just watching them all the time, and it's cool that they started kind of like using my stuff for news. But yeah, the Instagram, that's kind of like what I do. I just don't want it to become work. Honestly, that's where I'm at. Like, I don't want it to become it takes a lot of my time. I'm not gonna lie.
It does.
It takes a lot of my time.
It does.
But I don't want it to become a job, and that's where I'm at with this. So like, I post things that I think are cool, that I think other people that follow me will think is cool, but I don't post everything because I can't. I just don't have enough time to post every single thing. But I post as much as I can. When I see something,
you're an artist, dude. You're curating.
Yeah,
like 100%.
So that's what I'm trying to do here. But yeah, shout out.
And
to
then Toy Migos.
And then we got Toy Migos.
Yeah, dude, you're like all over the place. So
you're putting it into perspective. Like it's
you're like, what am I doing with my? You're having this moment. This was not meant to be an intervention, Lago. But no, this is awesome. Like, you've got this body of work, and you're hanging out with your buddies, talking toys. How did you connect with these folks, and how did you?
So how did
I don't think I've heard your origin story.
My origin story was I was posting. It was during like early pandemic times, and I was posting a lot of my news, and Dario was posting news for Toy Migos. And Dario was like, hey, man, like, we were sharing things with each other. And he's like, hey, why don't you come help us out and post things with us? So I would share all my info with him. So he would post, oh, gosh, the hot seat music. Gosh, I'm on the hot seat.
Sorry, no, keep going.
That was good. That was good. But yeah, so we started chatting, me and Dario, and then eventually, like, they were like, hey, we'd like you to come on the show as a guest. And I was like, sure. So I came on as a guest, and I guess it just kind of came from there. And we became really good friends. And now we do a show every week. And if I was living in California, I'd probably be doing the They're Not Dolls show. But I'm on the East Coast, and it's super late, So shout out to Cheney, shout out to Mario, shout out to Chamba, everybody out there. They're great people, awesome. We, like you were saying about the Discord, it's always positive, it's always fun. And they've opened up a lot of doors for me as well. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
no, it's really cool. It's a cool community, and like, I don't know, I really appreciate it. There are a couple of like key places where I'll like actually join in and engage, because like there are some other places where it's just like, man, I can't really engage, man. I feel like I'm gonna get yelled at, or I'm just gonna watch people fight over like toys. So,
and there's a lot of that in this community, man. There's like there's a whole sector of that I don't want to be part of. That's always like, drama and
Yep.
hate and this is not good. You should like this. I don't like it's freaking toys, man. I don't want to deal with that. Like,
Yeah.
I got a whole family, I got a life. I don't want to deal with that. So,
Yeah, I grab these things to like smile and like
yeah.
play.
And Toy Migos was that. Like when I was on
Yeah.
the show, like when I was on the chat and everything, you felt like you were part of the show. They would share your comment. They would talk to you like, "Hey, shout out to this person. Oh, that's a great comment." And same thing with the ACBA guys. They do the same thing. Rick is always on top of the chat, and I think when you're doing a stream and stuff like you're doing right now, the guests and also the viewers, you have to share so they feel like they're hanging out with you, which they are.
Yeah.
But like that was a big thing. Like during the pandemic, feeling like you're hanging out with people, and
Yes.
it was nice.
Especially then, absolutely. People were looking for a place like to connect, and it's perfect. And that was totally me. And real quick, speaking of the chat, Collecting Brothers, John, shout out to the teachers. John is also a teacher and a
shout out
toy collector. There's a bunch of us.
We should make like a separate group, teacher collectors. So is Yimbo. Yimbo reviews everything. Is another teacher. He's like, what, 20 minutes away from me.
I clocked that too when he was talking about it. I was like, oh man, they're hella teachers. Yeah, on this, just you saying like keeping it fun, like, yeah, keep it fun. Again, drama, no thanks. But also just the work, as you were saying, once it becomes a job, you lose your passion for it. It sucks. And like I've done way too many things like that in my life, whether it was art or being in a band or like whatever, where it's like at a certain point, I'm like, oh, this is changing. And if I don't have room for it, I'm just like, yeah, maybe it's time to move on. Berserk got it. Yeah, just keep having fun. Value your time for sure. I wasn't trying to make you quit. I hope I didn't. No. To rethink your life choices.
No, I like that you mentioned that. I was like, oh crap, you're right. Like there's a lot of avenues I'm in, and that's great.
Yeah.
And shout out to the toy community, always supporting me and the Toy Migos, and
hell yes,
it's just fun. It's such a cool community. I love it.
The pandemic definitely was an interesting time, but it brought a lot of us together, and actually brought a lot of us back to toys, like true. And no more drama. So real quick before we go, Toy Migos. The basic is Tuesdays is your show, and that's Chat Migos Assembled.
Yeah.
And
so we have an hour show on Tuesdays. It's quick. You usually have a guest. We focus on the guest a lot more than the toy news. But then after we put them on the hot seat with that awesome music, we talk toys a little bit. So it's a quick one. Tuesdays are nice and quick, and sometimes I feel like it's too fast. And then Thursdays, they have the They're Not Dolls show, which is a show they've been doing for the longest time. And that's with Ernie and Augie and sometimes Adam and Chamba. And that's like a 3-hour show. And that one is at 11:15 p.m. Eastern time. I'm not sure in Cali what time it is at that time, but they have that show, and they also have an extra show. Yeah, 8 o'clock. Is it 8?
Yeah. Okay. That's why I'm usually there. I was like, oh, so like I appreciate that because it, got kids and stuff and getting home from work. But so 5:15 on Tuesdays, 8:30, I think, I forget, 8-something on. Sorry, 5:15 on Tuesdays, 8-something on Thursdays, and then the extras. If you're a member of the channel, they do these awesome extras that are just like go all sorts of places. And it's super fun, and always like here's a topic, but they're just fun. Like you said, it's people hanging out, and Cheney's real good about like working in the chat and stuff. So I love the Toy Migos, and I was honored to be able to do a Tuesday show with you and Cheney, and that was fun. And so it's good stuff. And thank you for coming here, man. I appreciate you spending some time here.
Thank you for having me. I'd like to come some other time. Yeah. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
We'll talk toys, and it's like clearly like we're not going to run out of stuff to talk about because it's
seriously
everywhere.
Like you went through so many things. I'm like, there's still so many other things that we could have talked about. It's so many things.
Yeah,
it's insane.
It's a good time to be a nerd. So just to bring it back to what we were saying, like drama, like just have fun. And if here's the other thing, man, there's so many things coming out on any given day. If you don't like it, wait 5 minutes. Something else that you like is probably gonna pop up. Like All right, Lago, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming through. I'll be watching on Tuesday and then on Thursday and on and on and on. I hope you're still in school, so I hope that the end of the school year is good. I'm breathing easier on my side. I'm ready to leave town, leave the country.
Oh man, yeah, you're going to Japan, right, or something?
Going to Japan and exploring.
I'm gonna be asking you about that because I'd like to go sometime. Yeah.
Yep. And actually, last week, if folks want to check it out, last week I was with your sometimes nemesis, but not really. Yoko was here. She shared with me. She gave me the geek rundown of what I should check out. So I'm feeling.
I'll stick to asking you. No.
Okay. All right. The beef is still there. The beef is still there. All right, folks. Thank you all so much. I hope everybody has a great week. Thank you, as always, for checking this out. Oh, I should say the things. Like, subscribe, all of those things. I appreciate you all. Bye, folks. Say goodbye. Peace, power, all the things. Bye. Oh, look.